That's the gimmick. Before I start this video, a lot of people trying to give me shit. They're like, Clayton, why do you do these videos like in an empty room? The room is not empty. Almost all my stuff is on this side. This is actually my computer and art room, so almost everything is on this side, and I do art stuff in the back sometimes. Anyway, fragrance video because some people actually like when I do fragrance videos, and everyone likes when you do a compliment video. So I'm gonna do a compliment video, right? But instead of doing something cliche like the top 10 complimented fragrances, I'm just gonna give my opinion on some fragrances that get lots of compliments, or people say they get lots of compliments, and I'm going to give my experience with them basically and tell you what I think of them. And I'm gonna put them into different categories. Before I do that, on the subject of compliments, etc. Just to say, some people complain about, oh, you shouldn't wear fragrances for compliments. You should only wear what you like. I agree, you should wear what you like, but I don't think there's anything wrong with finding a balance of finding something you like and finding something someone else likes, right? Kind of a balance, right? You don't need to be offensive to other people, but whatever. And of course, at the same time, you wouldn't want to wear something only because it gets compliments, because we don't want to wear something where we have to feel like we need validation, right? I don't want to wear something that even if someone else likes it, that I feel I need that feedback from them, that validation that it smells good, because then you're not going to feel sexy if you're always in need of someone else telling you smell good, right? Also, there's always going to be some biasness towards these things, I think, because for sake of argument, let's assume I've only smelled or I only own 365 fragrances. Well, there's 365 days in a year. That would mean to get a proper result or whatever you want to call it, I would only be able to wear one fragrance for the year. Or that one fragrance will only get one time I could wear it each. You know what I mean? Do you know what I'm saying? 365 days, 365 fragrances. So whatever. There's always going to be a little bit of biasness towards anything. Do you know what I mean? Because some things are just going to get worn more than others. Obviously, besides that, I guess if you just want to play the safe route, you know what I mean? I would suggest just getting something fresh and clean smelling. You'll probably never get those extreme compliments of someone, whatever your extreme compliment. Maybe it's if a girl comes up and licks you, you know what I mean? Or you're probably never going to get an extreme compliment like that, but at the same time, you're probably never going to get a bad compliment or a bad comment that someone fucking thinks you smell awful, right? So fresh and clean scent is probably the best way to go if you just want to play it safe. Obviously, I would think, right? Anyway, let me get into some fragrances that and this is going to be my not as good probably as other people say. These fragrances get mentioned sometimes in these and other people's top compliment getting fragrances, and I'm going to give my opinion on that. The original Amen. Dude, I don't know. Obviously, Amen still is selling because it's still on the shelf. So some people must like it. But in my honest opinion, I probably only met three people in real life that have ever liked that. I mean, it's almost a universally hated fragrance. I mean, hated too. Like people think it smells fucking awful. I mean, the dry down is tolerable, but yeah, I think it smells awful too. So I'm not not. I don't know, dude. Like I said, it's still selling, so some people must buy it, but I would not recommend that. Another two fragrances. There's probably in the community. Lidge. I'm getting a lot of messages right now. Right? Okay. Another thing, Lidge Dior Homme Intense. Now I actually have a friend that wears both of these, and he says he gets a lot of compliments on it. But for me personally, as well, I don't. You know what? Lidge smells old. I've been told it smells old. Dior Homme Intense. I do think Dior Homme Intense smells pretty good. It's all right. But not a lot of compliments. Just okay on that one. For what it's worth, I do own the reformulated version of Dior Homme Intense, the bad reformulated version apparently, and it is performance-wise, it's pretty weak. It does not do very well on my skin, so that could be part of why I don't get a lot of compliments whenever I've worn it, because you can't really smell it. Some Creed fragrances that don't do that well. People are like, "Fuck you, Clayton. Uh, this list is invalidated." Or now that you've said anything about Creed. Green Irish Tweed. Not a lot of compliments on it. If anything, I know people are gonna hate me for this. I probably had more people tell me they like Cool Water than Green Irish Tweed. Don't fucking hate me. I do think Green Irish Tweed smells much better than cool water. I do think they smell pretty similar, but like I said, geez, I actually even think cool water smells pretty synthetic and gross up close. But admittedly, cool water probably gets more compliments than greenhouse tweed. Millennium Imperial. I wear Millennium Imperial a lot. Okay, I got a huge bottle of it. But honestly, I have never gotten a compliment on it after the 2 hour mark. Not saying it only lasts 2 hours. It does last longer, but no one can smell it. I've been out with girls and girls that told me I didn't even know you were wearing anything, and I can still smell it. So I know it's still there. But other people are like, dude, I can't smell you. Um, so yeah, I've gotten compliments the first 2 hours of it, but after that, dude, nothing, right? So I would not say it's a great compliment getter for me personally. Actually, I would say if you want a fresh and clean smelling creed that gets good compliments, I would say Silver Mountain Water. And thankfully, I actually like Silver Mountain Water a lot. So I would say that's a better one if you're looking for a clean scent that gets a lot of good compliments. Some Tom Ford ones. Two famous ones in the game: Tuscan Leather, Tobacco Vanille. I like those both a lot, especially Tobacco Vanille. One of my favorite fucking scents of all time, probably. Yes, it is. Just okay compliment wise. I would not put them in my top compliment again fragrances ever. Actually, for Tobacco Vanille, it probably sounds a little strange, but a lot of the negative comments that it gets online would be the negative comments I get in person. Like, oh, it smells like you smell good, kind of like a backhanded compliment, right? Like, you smell good, but it's a kind of smell like a candle, or you kind of smell like Christmas. You smell good, but it's not a fragrance kind of smell. That's a lot of kind of comments I get on Tobacco Vanille. I do have some people that have liked it a lot. Um, and have had some people say they like it a lot, but they've actually thought it smelled like a girl, and the girl said they wanted to wear it. I actually think it smells kind of manly. I think it's like manly and sexy, but do get compliments on it sometimes, but a lot more you smell good, but not like a fragrance kind of thing. So I would not say it's a great compliment getter like some people say. I would actually say if you're looking for a good compliment getter from Tom Ford, I would try Oud Wood. Surprisingly, deceptively good compliment getter. Um, what else? Spiritus du Bavini. A lot of people are horny about that, but dude, the first few hours of that are very grandma smelling. I've had a lot of you smell like a grandma comments. The sillage, if you will, the scent trail it can leave in a room is okay. But when people smell you up close, the very first few hours, it's kind of like, man, you kind of smell kind of funky, dude. It's kind of gramish. So yeah, after that, the dry down's okay, but I would not put that in my top compliment getters because you got a few hours that you're gonna smell like a grandma potentially to some people. Besides that, I'm gonna put an asterisk towards this one. New Harlem, another very popular fragrance in the community. Like Tobacco Vanille, it gets a lot of comments like "you smell good, but I don't know if I'd want to smell like that." But the asterisk towards New Harlem is that the people that think you smell good with New Harlem tend to fucking love you. Like I've had a number of people when I've worn New Harlem say that's the best fucking thing I've ever smelled. Like totally, totally fucking love it. So an asterisk, you know what I mean? Some people are like too novelty, but the people that like New Harlem really fucking love it. So a little bit of an asterisk towards that one, right? Another one. What should we do? I'm gonna. This is a after the fact fragrances. Okay. For this, I would say after the fact means that a lot of people will say these like these fragrances, but I don't get a lot of outright compliments on them. And these might be what you would think they're very popular fragrances. Fragrances like Acqua di Gio, Le Mans, 1 Million. Lots of people tell me they like these fragrances. I've gotten, hey, what were you wearing the day after I was wearing this? But when you wear them, I find I don't get a lot of outright compliments. And that could be because, it's just, they're just too common, right? So take that for what it is. Certain fragrances that people make fun of, Invictus. That's a good compliment getter. People might make fun of it, but people seem to like that. As a matter of fact, when it first came out in the US, because I had smelled it when I was traveling before, but when it first came out in the US, the sales reps were actually telling me it was the #1 fragrance that girls were coming in to buy for their boyfriend. So take that as a if you want to take that as like proof of its popularity, like a lot of girls were coming in, I guess, and buying that for their boyfriends, and they really liked it. That was the word I was getting. Gucci guilty. I don't care for Gucci guilty. Not even that horny about Invictus, but I don't hate it as much as other people seem to. But fragcom, I guess just say. Gucci guilty black. Don't do anything for me, but they are fragrances that I've actually had girls mention to me by name as fragrances that they like. So there you go. What about a category of cheap fragrances that seem to do good? Almost anything could be considered cheap if you think about it. I mean, because you know what, dude? Go to eBay, then go to FragranceNet, save fucking money, and then almost any fragrance could be considered kind of cheap, right? Although I guess you know, I would recommend if you have a nice sales associate that hooks you up with a lot of samples, obviously buy from them sometimes, but otherwise it's a good idea to, you know, I think save money. Fragrances like that would be Nautica Voyage. A lot of people tend to like that one. A lot of people think it smells kind of fresh and clean. I think it actually smells kind of sweet and very synthetic actually, but very sweet, I think. Curve or Curve Crush. Maybe people think they're old, but you know, those do pretty well. Guess Seductive, I talked about that one before. You know, when that first came out, I was getting so many compliments on Guess Seductive. Like, I can't even wear it anymore most of the time because it's just like, I just got bored of wearing it so much. But when that first came out, I was getting so many ridiculous comments on that. Compliments. And I actually, when a girl finally told me she didn't like it, it like blew my mind. I was like, wait, what? You actually, or she didn't say she didn't like it. She said, oh, this is just okay. And I was like, wait, what? It's just okay? I was like, what is going on? You know, I was like so surprised. So, Cool Water, I mentioned that before. I actually have had more people tell me they like Cool Water than Green Hours Tweed. Don't hate me. I'm not saying I like Cool Water, okay? Fragrances that people say do good in their top list that I do agree also get good compliments. Pure Malt. Amazing compliment getter. It's a very out there kind of smell, I think, so it kind of demands a reaction, and generally the reaction is very positive. Um, I will, if you want me to admit it, I have had one bad comment on this, but I'm keeping this positive. So in general, almost everyone has really liked Pure Malt. I know Pure Malt and Pure Havant get talked about a lot when people talk about good complimented fragrances. Pure Havant I don't find to be that amazing of a compliment getter. Um, I have had some good compliments on it, but I would not say it's a top complimented fragrance in my opinion. For me, at least, right? La Nuit Talon, that gets talked about all the time. Good compliment getter, yeah. Allure Homme Sports, Allure Homme Extreme, both versions, great compliment getters. Especially Extreme. Extreme can be, you know, it's a tonka bean bomb. And I do find when you got that much tonka bean, it can be a little funky sometimes and a little off-putting for some people. But both of those are very good compliment getters, especially Extreme. Dolce & Gabbana, the one, and the EDP. I'll put an asterisk towards the EDP because, you know, it came out recently and I haven't even worn it 20 times, you know what I mean? But they're both very similar smells, so just for sake of putting it in here, both very good compliment getters. And it's probably one of my favorite fragrances, if not my favorite fragrance of all time. Very good compliment getters. So yeah. Straight to Heaven. A deceptively good compliment getter. And it's funny because when I first smelled Straight to Heaven, I thought that maybe, even when I smelled it, I was like, man, this is too kind of out there. It smells like kind of mature, right? And I have like a vast kind of like age group of social circle that I hang out with, and I'm like, I don't think I can hang out with young girls with this. This smells too, not, it smells sexy, but it smells kind of older, right? And but you know what? A lot of good compliment get a lot of good compliments on it. And it is also a fragrance that girls that are into fragrances know by name as a fragrance they like. So I'll take that for what it's worth. Speaking of by Killian for what it's worth, I know a lot of people say that Back to Black is the good compliment getter. I actually find that it's just okay. I would really say that Straight to Heaven, if you're looking for a good compliment getter from by Killian, is a great one. Also, since we're just talking about By Killian, and I know I shitted on Amen, and I'm not taking that back. Intoxicated, and because some people say that intoxicated smells like Amen. I don't think so much. I think intoxicated smells more like a pure coffee, if we're going to say that. Not that that doesn't smell anything like Amen, but hopefully you get what I'm saying. Intoxicated is actually, a pretty decent compliment getter too. So just to show you that some people do think that Amen and intoxicated smell the same, but night and day difference in compliments, I find. Versace Eros, good compliment getter. CH Men, good compliment getter. Performs very badly on my skin, I will say. But while you can smell it, it does very well. I know people would probably ask, what about CH Men Privé that came out last year? I haven't worn it enough to give you an honest opinion. But what I've worn it, I have not noticed it to be as good as the original. So I can't tell you for sure because I've only worn it so much. But Aventus, of course. We're going to do a fragrance thing without Aventus. Aventus is an amazing compliment getter. Also, strangely, I do think it smells a little old as well. It's not always my vibe, and I am big on, like I said earlier, you want to wear a fragrance that is half and half. You know what I mean? Gets good compliments, and it's you as well, because I don't want to go out and feel that I need those compliments. And I feel like Aventus is not totally me. I feel like but you know what, dude? It's a good compliment getter, and even though it's a little mature, I do have young girls tell me they like it as well. Great compliment getter, definitely one of the best. So I agree with that. And that's about it. I don't really have any other fragrances I want to mention too much by name because, for what it's worth, you know what I mean. Again, I told you 365 days. You only have so many fragrances you can wear to give an equal amount of opportunity. Obviously, I am not rich. Expensive hobby, right? So, it's hard to accurately give proper time to things. Some things I have 100 ml, others I have like a decant of like 20 ml, so I don't get to wear it as much. I like Harrod, I don't get to wear it as much. I've gotten compliments on it, but I have not worn it enough to put it in my top compliment getters ever. I like Reflection Man, haven't worn it enough. You know what I mean? There's so many. I like Amber Absolute. I have not worn as much as like Tobacco Vanille because I just only have so much of it. So lots of fragrances I can't give you an accurate opinion on because I've not worn them as much as others. And there's tons of other fragrances that I have not totally mentioned that are just okay, so I'm not even going to bother mentioning them. Besides that, I guess some fragrances that came out recently. Dior Sauvage has been getting a lot of compliments. I do agree that it gets a lot of compliments. I know it gets compared to Blue Day Chanel sometimes. I have noticed that Dior Sauvage is actually getting better compliments than Blue Day Chanel, in my opinion. Other fragrances that came out recently, last year, or no, Calvin Klein Reveal. Some people make fun of Calvin Klein fragrances. I find that gets a lot of compliments. I think it smells good too. Ultra Le Mans, I was getting a lot of compliments on that. That seemed pretty good. Some people thought it smelled a little sweet, but generally pretty good compliments on that. And Armani Code Perfume, that just came out recently, and man, dude, one day I wore that, nothing. Next day, like I got like literally like 10 people came up to me and complimented me. It was fucking that was insane actually. But so those could be pretty good compliment getters too, but I've only worn them so much, so it's hard for me to hard for me to totally put it out there. For me to put on my top 10. Well, like I said, I'm not trying to do a top 10 list exactly, but you get the idea. So anyway, yeah, that's my opinion on fragrances that get a lot of compliments. Like I said, just I didn't want to do just the top 10 list because that's it's so hard to really judge. I just find some fragrances do better than others. You know what I mean? That's what I find. So it'd be impossible for me to do a top 10, I think. Anyway, I know people keep your channel active. I'm trying. I just, speaking of feeling good about yourself, I've just really hard year and a half of so much doctor stuff. So I don't really feel like putting myself out there all the time, but keeping my channel active. I know people still ask me to make some videos, so there we go. Everyone loves a fragrance video, right? So there we go. Thanks for watching. Hopefully the Creed guys don't hate me for talking shit a little bit, right? Anyway, later.